The comments heard on The View From A Pew are those of Mac McKoy and are not necessarily the opinions of his guests, his producer Garth, any one particular denomination or religion, the church lady, Mr. Lemke, Pastor Craig, or anyone else of sound mind and body. Now, here is today's The View From A Pew, heard all around the world on YouTube. Just search for The View From A Pew.
And thank you, Emily. This is The View From A Pew, heard worldwide on about 27 podcast sites, and we're also on YouTube, live as well as pre-recorded, and on our brand new Roku channel. Just search for The View From A Pew on your streaming Roku. I'm Mac McKoy, and I have two wonderful guests today, and I'll have them introduce themselves to you, because this is an introduction to their new ministry. And I wanted to get them on the show so you guys could meet them and know who they are and look them up. So it's Sherry. Tills.
Sherry Tills.
Tills, okay. Yep. And Michael.
Michael Worrell, Worrall.
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 All right, so JLL. Oh, yeah. Good Lord.
That's all right.
I got to do that again. WORRALL. All right. And their ministry is called?
It's called NXT24.
NXT24. Yeah, hold that book up so they can see the book that you guys have written.
Discovering your happiness and true joy as you create your legacy.
All right, and where can people find you on the internet?
Sorry.
We do have a webpage. It is next24book.com, and next is spelled NXT.
All right.
And we also have a Facebook page, Next24 Personal Development, and they can also find us on YouTube. They can find our book on Amazon. They can find our book on Barnes & Noble. Lots of places you can find us.
Lots of places. That's good. All right, and what we're going to do today is we're going to learn a little bit about their ministry, and we're going to have some fun because we're going to bring back the pastor's questions, because I always like to ask my guests the same questions so you can compare. I don't know if compare is the right word, but you can hear what Michael and Sherry think, and then you can hear what Gary thinks at Sunny Slope, and you can hear what Mark says at Christ Community College or Christ Community Church, or whoever's on the air with us. So that'll be fun. All right, so first of all, tell me where this idea came from for this ministry.
Well, NXT24, interesting, it actually came out of the ashes of our own lives. During our lifetime, or in my lifetime, I'm from Lincoln, but through my years, I watched a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. My mother died when I was 19 of leukemia. My sister died at age 52 of alcoholism. My brother had alcoholism. And so I had to see a lot of that, plus just over time of life's experiences, especially during the COVID time. I saw a lot of people who were angry, frustrated in the workplace, weren't talking, and as myself coming home knowing how miserable just life felt, that this isn't right. This cannot be. There's got to be a time of change, and we did our research and our reading, and we discovered books and things and ministries of things that help us correct our mind, our body, and our spirit, and we felt that there was a need to share this with others.
And this book, like you just said, has a lot of your history in it, which is good that you do that. And you also have not different, but you have clear thoughts on the gospel and the Bible. And you are Bible-based.
Absolutely.
So we should have no problem. But I will ask you one of my pastor's questions. So are you the son of a risen God, or a daughter of a risen God, or a sinner?
Absolutely, I am.
That's the right answer.
The daughter of a risen God. I am the daughter of the Most High King.
And a sinner.
And what?
And a sinner.
And a sinner.
Absolutely
and
a sinner.
Yeah.
Absolutely
but saved by grace.
That's good. That's one of my favorite questions, because the answer is yes.
Yes, the answer is yes all over the place. I believe my Mike's answer is yes, too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You take an evaluation of your own life, an inventory at some point, and you get to the crossroads realizing, my God, what things I've done or I haven't done.
What is it that you hope to? How do you hope to help other people through your ministry?
Well, what I hope that realize, and just simply that if as being true that God gave us life, that life itself is so important, and yet through time, and that's why we call it NXT24. When we think about the time of each day, time passes like a sand through an hourglass. That life is too valuable, life is too short, and yet, from my observations, people tend to dwell on the past. They get stuck. And 30 years will go by, and before that time it may be too late. They may die. It might be an unsatisfied, unfulfilled life. We want to show people that there is a way. There is a way out. There is a difference that they can do.
Well, and Michael, you're correct in the fact that, at least from my standpoint on a ministry of mine's based around forgiveness, there
Absolutely.
are consequences. God lays it out clearly in the Bible. If you expect to be forgiven by God differently than you forgive others.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people that I run into, I'm glad to tell them that message and show them how it's biblical, because if you don't forgive somebody, it says right in the Lord's Prayer, that's how God's going to forgive you. And unfortunately, there could be consequences to that. And I don't want anybody, I want everybody to be in heaven.
Me too.
Yeah, I hope God's grace is big enough. I'm not being universal here, but I hope that God's grace is big enough that even us poor sinners like me will have Jesus at the gate being our advocate.
Yep. I agree 100%. Mike.
All right, so tell me a little bit about your book.
Well, the book itself is 286 pages. It was developed by Page Publishing. There's 10 sections within the book. And if I may, just kind of lightly hit on some of these sections.
Yep, go ahead.
Part number one is really just when an individual takes a moment to just stop and do some self-assessment. Look at what they're doing in life. Look at where they're at. They have to ask themselves some really tough questions. Are they happy? Are they fulfilled? Are they living a life with purpose? Are they living a relationship with God? They really have to dig deep within inside themselves. And there's a time when I noticed in society we tend to look outward. This is the time to look inward. Look into your body, your mind, your spirit. And to realize at some point you'll be able to come to the crossroads. It's either you take the broad road or you take the narrow road. Are you going to change or are you not? And I heard Les Brown, for example, if I may talk about this a little bit, Mac, with this. Les Brown gives a great motivational speech, and he's talking about a deathbed. And you're lying around your deathbed, and you've got your hopes and dreams and ideas standing around your deathbed. And they say to you, we were always with you, but now it's too late, and we must die with you.
Yep.
And let people begin to think about that. Let that soak in and some thought.
Well, it's like when those folks came to Jesus and said, we have been ministering to people about you. We have created miracles for you. And he said, but I don't know you. And that means, in my opinion, that you don't have a relationship with him. I think there are two words out there. They both begin with R, and one's right and one's wrong. The wrong one is religious or religion. This is not a religion. We're a Christianity. We're a Christ-based religion. However, we don't honor a Christian. We don't, honor a religious thing, a person. We honor a relationship. And so that's what Jesus wants to have with us. At least that's what I get from the Bible. I've been wrong before, but you never know.
Well, Mac, let me just mention something. I think it's very important. There's a time when you get this book. It's a time is the most difficult part of this book is when to start. If people just look around the world today, and you talk about the separation of the world today and a relationship with God, that divide is so wide right now. I was driving, this was the catalyst for this book. I was driving the city bus, and I've got to tell you, every day I would go downtown Lincoln and pick people up who were either homeless, alcoholism, drug addiction, mental illness, especially, and despair.
Yeah.
But the thing that I saw were people so angry, and young and old. I think the one thing I want to point out is the shock of how many young people today that I saw, early teens, mid-teens, 20s, homeless, methamphetamine, tremendous amount of addiction, tremendous. You could see their face, the so lost in this world, and I just realized something has to happen, something needs to be done, and so, Mac, if you want to reflect on that yourself, but that's what I observed.
My guests today are Sherry Tills and Michael Worrall. Did I say that right?
You did.
And they have a ministry here in the Midwest called NXT24. And Michael's kind of telling us about the book that they wrote, which is kind of a guide to your ministry.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Absolutely. And the nice thing about the book, in the very back of the book, technically it's 2 books in one. At the very back of the book is a workbook that walks you through each chapter and gives you practical things to do. I think sometimes in today's world, and whether you're a churchgoer or not, a lot of people's answer is, well, God will provide. You just have to trust him. You just have to pray more. Yep. Well, yes, that's all true. But you also need some practical steps to take to pull yourself out of that despair and that deep, dark hole. And that's what Next 24 does. I'm just really quick. As far as where I was at when we started on this, I had just gotten out of a very, very abusive physical, verbal, and emotional marriage. Through my life, I've gone through a lot of abuse, caregiver all of my life. And I was in a deep, dark hole and was trying to pull out, but I had nothing tangible to show me how to do that.
Yep. And your book and your ministry will help people do that.
Well, a couple things to mention, too, that I noticed is that I've talked to many people on the streets and so forth in life, and they say, I don't know where to begin.
Yeah.
I'm lost.
Absolutely.
I've dealt with this with years, and I don't know what to do. And they get it into their mind. Talk about mindset. They get it in their mind. Oh, it's too late. It's too late for me. I'm not good enough. This is how I've lived all these years. Why change now?
Oh my God!
I hear many of these types of comments. So what the book tries to show is the changes that Sherry and I also worked through. We not only wrote this, we lived this. We realized our mindset at the time, especially now, go back and put it in context. During COVID, it was dark. No one was talking to each other. You look at anybody, they get angry at you. And so forth. You could see the violence, not only in also political anger you'd see during that time. And and you talk about the church. This is all helps the individual, no matter where you're at. If you're struggling with your finances, you're struggling with your health, your mindset, your social aspect, your career,
your family,
we all those things we have in common. Yet, do you notice when people gather in a room these days, they don't talk to each other. They don't share with each other. So the goal is to take baby steps along this way and to evaluate where each person is in life. But I hope to gather people together in a room and get back to the old days when people would share.
Yeah, put their phone down and talk to each other.
Yes.
Thank you.
I was in a restaurant the other day, and there was a mom and a dad and 4 kids, all probably 12 and over. And they were all on their phones.
Yep.
And they would laugh at what they looked at and then show it to somebody else. And right or wrong, it is the way we are in society now. And we can stand there and tell people that that's rude and you shouldn't do it. But that's okay as long as you recognize that you gave them the phone or you gave them permission to have the phone. There's a lot of times when I have to leave my phone in the car because I just don't want it going off.
Mac, the word I want to bring up in this is at this point when you look at this and decide, that moment you decide you want to change, that's difficult because it's like, where do I change? But the word faith, but people need to start to look at that and to think about faith. Not only, we talk about faith so many times in God, which is true, but what about faith in ourselves?
Yeah.
The faith in believing I can do this.
Well, when we come back, Sherry and Michael are going to go through some of our pastor's questions. But let's start out talking about that faith and how we can refresh our faith. And I'll challenge you guys and people listening. Do you have faith as one of the spiritual gifts? And I'll talk about what that is when we come back in our second session. I'm Mac McKoy, and if I haven't told you lately, thanks a lot for listening. I couldn't do this job without you, so I appreciate it. And I'd like to hear from you, the good and the bad, and the ugly, at Mac, M-A-C, like macaroni, at theviewfromapew.com. Thanks also to the folks at DivineTruthChristian.com. It's a complete online Christian store. Check it out, DivineTruthChristian.com.
Christian store, where you'll find more.